All right, and we are live. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Hi, guys. Good evening. So, sorry kung medyo low energy, medyo mga masakitin kami tonight. But, we want to just push through with this very important topic for this evening about gaming and mental health. So, you asked for it, you got it. Just like the slogan of Toyota. Joke lang. So, we're going to continue on and we have our special guest for this evening. So, before we do that, I just want to introduce each one of us. Hi, my name is John B, and I am the Christian Geek and part of Level Up Game Nights, and this is Level Up Geek Nights. So this is our podcast. It's our bi-monthly podcast, and we talk about topics and different things relating to geek culture. So games, anime, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever you think of that is geeky, you name it, we probably do it. All right. So, with that, I want to introduce my co-host for this evening. I have, of course, the wonderful guild master of our RO guild, the geeks. I have Gio. Hey, Gio. All right, and of course, the financier of us all. Just kidding. Our COO, our boss man, John Gaisano. Hi, John.
Hey, John.
All right. So for this evening, we will again be having a special guest. So John, who is our special guest again for this evening?
All right. For this evening, I'd like to first start off with a returning guest. Our should I call him Kuya? Our brother Gino Eleria. Gino, yo,
Hello.
hello. So welcome back to Level Up Geek Nights. And as you guys know, as most viewers know, he was with us, one of our two speakers, guest speakers, in our first session of mental health and gaming. So our second guest speaker for the evening is none other than Sean C. And he has a very respectable profile. I'm just going to say he is the CEO and founder of SEO Hacker. He's also the host of his own podcast, Leadership Staff. And he's done a lot of speaking engagements in the industry. And this is a lot, of course, low scale. And I'm just really happy to have him with us, Sean.
All right.
So
Bro,
for having me tonight. Be here.
Thank you.
well, we're glad to have you with us.
Yes, and I have to say again, the background that's so legit. My background it's just virtual, but yours, so legit, man. Nice for you nice of you to be here, and we're glad that you graced us with your presence. And thanks again, Gino, for joining us for round two.
Right, right.
Oh,
You're getting to be addicting us to it.
it's a good type of condition, right?
Right. Start.
Okay.
Okay.
So, ano ba ang pinag-usapan natin last week? What did we actually talk about last week? No?
Right. So to recap, um, basically last week we had Gino, his wife Noreen, and our friend Bujo speak about mental health in particular, and we covered quite a lot of different topics. It was like a very digital coffee table talk, no, about mental health and gaming in general.
Right.
And we were talking about how it can be useful, how it can be not useful, how it can be addictive, and how it can be actually a useful tool. So there were I would say different perspectives to how it can be used and how it can be abused. So
Yeah.
this time around, given that that's our background, we wanted to put a closer focus on the more practical side to this entire thing, which is getting a lens on the gaming, um, yeah, the gaming culture, as well as the more practical side to like looking at mental health among us. So I would like to, I guess, just to start off with, like, I'd like to start off with how how it would be for us to be aware. So this is a session to like help people who are in it, or to help people who are perhaps family members or their loved ones are in this sort of risk zone or these habits. So that's why I guess maybe a good starter is how do we really know that uh, the person is going through a unhealthy state with regards to gaming, and perhaps a bit more generally the digital kind of account, if that makes sense.
Okay, right. I suppose that goes to me, no?
Yes. And then, and then later on, I'm hoping Sean can give us some more thoughts, like how might it look like in the digital scape and in the gaming scape or geek scape, either way.
All right. So, sige, sige. I've had some time to think about the the gaming culture. Um, Kasi yung last time we talked about how do you know when someone is going in general, if they need psychological help, if they're going through some sort of difficulty. And the clinicians usually they will say if it's impairing the quality of their life and the quality of their relationship already. Meaning that technically speaking, if the person doesn't feel um, that there's something wrong with their quality of life, um, technically the guy can just keep on gaming and gaming and then tuloy-tuloy na yun and all of that. Eh. So that's kind of like a subjective perspective. But I guess a good way of looking at it would be, well, pragmatically speaking, uh, let's look at the quality of the interactions of the person with the people around them. And I need to qualify that now. Kasi the thing about us, we don't really exist. People generally don't exist apart from our relationships. Like for example, me, I'm an introverted person, but it doesn't mean that I don't have friends or I don't like people. I just have less people that I'm close to, right? But technically speaking, uh, my I know I have a healthy state of mind if I can actually approach that small group of people and have a meaningful relationship with them. No, so in general, the assumption is that every person has at the very least one person that they're going to be able to relate with in a way where they can open up about their feelings and their thoughts and all of those things. If a person and this is kind of vague, I understand, no, kasi technically speaking, but I thought about and all of those things. No? But in general, if a person reaches a point where there seems to be a preference not to have relationships with people, right? Not to have any I guess mutualistic relationship with people because of the gaming experience, then there's something wrong there. Kasi in general, our identity is relational. We're always relational. Kahit isang tao lang, there is always a process of, I guess, a synergistic relationship with people. So pag nakakat na yun because of the gaming experience, then there's something wrong. Like for example, if the person doesn't want to connect with anyone anymore, doesn't want to respond to a relational stimulus anymore, then there's something wrong now. But I have to qualify that because I realized, no, because I stopped really actively gaming bago nagkaroon. Tao, but then they have actually good relationships online. Technically speaking, hindi pa siya problematic. They can have like a support group sa Discord community and all of those things. Technically speaking, may connection pa rin. I wouldn't say it's the best situation to be in, right? Because iba pa rin ng face-to-face na interaction. But the fact of the matter is, we're in a pandemic right now. right? We're not really interacting with people ng face to face, no? So I guess I guess basta the person feels like they can open up about the inner person and be authentic with someone else, kaya pa. Pag naapektuhan na yung capacity na yun, then there's something wrong. Right.
Okay,
Does that make sense? Okay, okay naman, workable naman, di ba? Working definition. Okay,
sige.
okay. All right.
That
Okay.
sounds like a very in-depth, actually, working definition.
Right, right.
Um, I see Sean with the mic. You got some thoughts to share on that?
Right.
Before I give my answer, that went on quite deep and well naman, no. Can you repeat the question to make sure that I give the right answer?
Oh, right. Sure. Actually, it's yung question rather is how are we to know, or how do we be aware that people uh paano ba? Kasi sobrang na-cover na ni Gino. But yeah,
Hmm.
um, yung awareness or detection of parang what qualifies as unhealthiness already sa behavior or sa being ng person. So Gino came in with a very strong background kasi sa psychological sense, with also a spin on how it applies to gaming culture.
Yeah.
So I was hoping like yan. So spinning it around as a person who is very familiar with geek and gaming culture
Yeah.
and digital culture at large. I mean, that's basically what you do.
Yeah.
How does that look like from the other end spun around?
Right. So if you guys didn't know, I almost got kicked out of LaSalle, failed 28 units because of failure due to absences by playing Dota, and I ran around with the guys who now founded company known as Mineski.
Uh,
And that was kami nasa Lasal and sobrang na-addict. I guess you'll know if you're the easiest way to know if is if you get irate quickly when something comes up in between your game. So, pag nainis ka dahil may kailangan gawin or may sinasabi sa'yo or whatever it is that's coming in between you and the game, that's a very good indication that
mhm.
psychologically you're already becoming tilted towards addiction.
Tilted nga, no?
Parang
Yeah.
parang invested ka na masyado, no, dun sa gaming sa gaming gaming life.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing that I would look at is the health, the way that the person is taking care of their health. Are they still invested in
Physical
eating
health.
right?
Right.
Yeah, physical health. Eating right, eating on time. That's another easy way to check it because usually addicted gamers don't eat on time and they don't eat right. They eat fast, they eat food that's also fast, fast to prepare, fast to cook, fast to order. And exercise pretty much thrown out the window. So those are easy signs to identify that someone's not balanced out.
Kasi parang anything that takes away from their gaming time, naiinis sila. It's like nothing just looking at the entire thing, nothing should come in between me and my games. Whether it's food or what have you. Parang wala, it's just me in the game. It's like don't get in between that at all.
Yep. In the Bible, in Proverbs, there's a story of the drunkard saying, "When can I have my next drink?" Right?
Oh,
When he's sober, he's asking, "When can I have my next drink?" And that's some form of addiction that the Bible has portrayed there with alcohol. It's the same with gamers. When will I be able to sleep and wake up so that I can continue playing?
oh my. Yung parang sleep is just a necessary evil, no? So I can game some more.
Yeah,
Y-
Yeah,
it's
right.
Eh,
yeah,
Yeah,
spirit.
I completely agree. Although I feel a bit attacked, joke lang. But no, but I completely agree. I mean, I remember back in college, no, sobrang addict pa talaga ako in games. So there would be times where I would, especially when there were no classes, especially weekends or something like that, I would like game until 6 in the morning, sleep, then wake up after like 1 o'clock, eat a bit, and then game again, and then do the same cycle until the weekend is over. And so when
So
the classes start, I'm like, I'm not ready to go to class because my mindset is still back there, right? I've already
may pattern
consumed
na kasi, no?
myself. Yeah. And I think I also mentioned this. I remember before I mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts that um one of my friends in their guild, they were talking to this guy who was hospitalized after some time in gaming, and apparently he had been gaming for almost 24 hours, and he was rushed to the hospital because of high blood pressure, and apparently the only thing that he was eating was chicharon because it was the only thing now that his hands could reach from his gaming table. So I'm
I
like,
feel like I know this guy. My gosh. But yeah, grabe.
so I definitely those. I think if you're already there, it's obvious, right? Na it's taken over your life. It's taken over um your proper faculties, I guess.
Yeah, well,
Mm,
I'm not gonna say I'm done with it. I still do play some games. I play Legends of Runeterra, which is the card game, Valorant, and it's just gaming is take it in moderation. If you ask, do I drink? I drink. I love drinking sake and wine, but don't get drunk. For me, it's good na money, but do it in moderation. It at the end of the day, when you're older in life, you're not gonna sometimes the games phase out they phase out, right? And you're not gonna play them forever, so don't invest so much of your life there.
yun. Tama naman. I like what you quoted earlier sa proverb, diba? Yung spirit. Parang, it's being aware, like, what is the spirit that drives you? Is it the video game already, or is it the digital life? Because it can extend to other things. There's some people who are addicted to Instagram, to the different forms of social media. I mean, sa Philippines, Facebook pa rin, di ba? But, there's TikTok that took over last year. It suddenly exploded everywhere. And it has, of course, like most things, there are useful ways to engage in it. I think that's what we've been establishing as a pattern with games, with digital, everything. Most of these activities are neutral and can be utilized safely. I mean, we're not talking about drugs or um, like cigarettes or something na talagang, okay, my health impact na negative. Like, no matter how little of it you take, there's really going to be a negative health impact somehow. But these things are
Mm.
more gray area. They're neutral. So more wisdom needs to be applied on how we engage with it. But yeah, those are very, I guess, practical and easy to spot thoughts on like, okay, ito yung behavior ng person. I like that. And yung sinabi ni Gino, it's very focused on yung connections ng person with other people, no? So, yung inability to still healthily engage socially with other people is a big indicator na rin.
Right. I just wanna add to it to connect dun sa sinasabi ni Sean kasi technically speaking, kasi I'm gauging myself na na-addict ako sa Counter-Strike, eh, but back way back, no, in order
Mm.
kasi technically speaking, alam mo yung maglalaro ka tapos hindi yung at least yung sa kinukuwento niyo kumakain ng fast food, eh. Actually back then hindi ako kumakain talaga. Kasi hindi ako kumakain and all of those things, no. But, technically speaking, hindi pa rin ako na-addict because ang nangyari nun is that people could actually pull me out of it. Right? So yung sinasabi ko kanina yung being able to connect relationally, parang meron kang anchor. 'Pag yung anchor mo nawala na to the point na nothing can pull you out of it, I think that's already when you're in the negative space sa game, eh. Um, like for example, like my family would tell me, medyo 18 hours ka na naglalaro, that sort of thing, tigil ka na. Titigil ako kasi kumbaga I was
18 hours,
fully
wow.
right, I was fully aware na I want to stop but I can't stop. But since there are people around me and my relationship with them has a weight on me, they're able to get me out of it. Technically, hindi pa ako quite engulfed by the game.
You're not on the far side of
Right.
addiction.
Yeah. Oo, ganun. So
There's things that can pull you
technically, pwede pa mag-intervention. So sa akin, when I talk about the fact that yung relationships natin have an impact on
of a weight.
the gamer, pati yun nawala na ng influence dun sa gamer because sobrang masyado na siyang invested in the gaming experience, then we know that there's a problem. And usually from my own experience, pag dinadala na sa akin yung teen or what have you who's already really addicted into the games,
Yeah.
it's because nag-reach na ng point na yung tawag doon, yung kanilang essential relationships na supersede na nung games, no? So I think to link it up to what Sean said, may range yung addiction, right? So may range. Obviously, you're addicted if you can't stop, no? I mean, like you're not eating, you're not sleeping, balik ka dun sa game, that sort of thing. Pero yung extreme range, yung pag nag-cut na yung relationships mo talaga with other people, and you're invested in the game. So yun lang. Just to connect it, may extreme end, no? And that's the extreme, and that's what it looks like, no?
I want to comment, no, parang because this is what I believe in when it comes to addiction, whether it's gaming addiction or any kind of addiction, it usually is a spectrum. No, not one addiction is the same to another. Someone
Right.
might be extremely addicted na konting laro lang, wala na. Lost na
Right.
sila sa in the game. Then there
Right,
will
right.
be people that it takes longer for them to get addicted. While there are others na, okay lang, maglaro ako, I can stop anytime. And they literally
Right.
can stop anytime. Yung may ganung tao, no? So I think
Yeah.
we cannot judge the gaming addiction na parang naglalaro ng games, addicted na yan, or it's
Right,
gonna be
right.
addict na, right? So
Right. Especially right now, kasi I mean, I when I compare it back when I was in college in the 20th century, no? Ano, what do you call that?
years ago.
Hindi pa common yung gaming. But the reality is right now, mas common na yung gaming. In fact, ano na nga eh, when I think about it, like back then may stereotype. The gamer is this really thin guy or really fat guy. Tapos naglalaro lang kami ng games and all of those things. No? Ngayon, you've got these guys na they're like they have an active lifestyle, but then every now and then laro ako ng games, laro ako ng Mobile Legends, laro ako ng Fortnite, laro ako whatever, not that sort of thing. So parang yung notion of a gaming addict because you're playing, parang meron pa bang ganun ngayon yung hindi naglalaro kahit paano? Kahit na I don't know, Candy Crush lang or what have you, that sort of thing. Yung digital life is actually more of a norm now than before, right? So parang they're really the spectrum doesn't start with the gaming. The spectrum starts when you can't stop the gaming, I guess, if you want to look at that way, yung addiction, no?
Yeah, I suppose that's right. Parang the way you look at, just linking things up, it's like in your spectrum of how you can practice self-control and discipline with regards to the activity,
Right.
which applies not just to video games, but also to other games, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
not other games, sorry, to other activities, right?
Other things, no? Other
So,
things.
other things. So parang if you're at a level where the person can easily step away from it,
Right.
or with very little intervention step away from it, yung parang by the person self without a significant external intervention,
Right.
mapansin mo na, okay, let's say, we have a thing to do, you just, yun lang, and then let the guy self-manage. He'll go to you,
Right.
generally speaking, and you could say that, okay, you're relatively healthy with regards to your interaction with this activity.
Right.
But when
Right.
it becomes more difficult to pull them out of it, and then it compromises other functional parts of their life, which is what we mentioned, diba? How to relate with people, kahit basic like eating, sleeping, diba? Keeping good hygiene and all the rest. Then you've got a problem.
Right, right. Oo. Kumbaga yung quality of life nagde-degrade because of what the
Quality
activity, yeah, the quality of life nagde-degrade and all of that, no. So that's where the problem starts. Kasi you can't say palibhasa digitally active siya, addicted siya. Who's not
Mm.
digitally active right now? Wala nang gano'n eh. Puwede
this
ngang
is a
hindi
very
puwede
small.
ngang hindi games eh, 'di ba?
Very,
Puwede ngang
very small number.
right, puwede ngang FB. Right, FB, yung you go down hard on the gamer, but you have someone who's also always on social media, Instagram, FB, what have you, TikTok, what have you, that sort of thing. Technically speaking, it's the same thing if the person doesn't have any control over yung kanyang ginagawa, no?
So yun, I think that's a really solid base for us.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that we've covered mga stories natin coming into it. Um, Sean shared quite some stories, and which I actually quite connect to, minus the setting up a gaming related. But yeah, um,
So actually, I just jump in. We have an active poll right now. To answer the
oh,
question
We
of
do.
Gino, it's on Facebook. So does the stigma where a person is seen gaming and is automatically associated with addiction still exist? What do you think? So I hope you guys can
mm,
answer. Let's see what the poll says from our viewers, and we'll check
I'm
it
sure
out.
that I'm sure that the participants here have our own. I mean, we have our own answers to that, which we might share at the end later on. Yeah.
Right.
So
So
We
ayun.
can share before we reveal the poll results, I
yes.
guess.
Okay,
We
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
So
So
sorry, what was that?
yeah, yeah. So let's see if I got this right. So you're asking if there really is a stigma and all of that. I'd say ano yan, generational yan, honestly, to be very frank.
Mm.
Kasi like ako, yung generation ko, I'm Gen X. I'm in the middle of the boomer and the Gen Y and all of that. If I talk to a lot of older generation people who didn't grow up with with the games, they would probably say yes, merong stigma, automatic siya. Sa generation ko, probably not as much. And it's not probably, if there is a stigma, it's probably not going to be a gaming related stigma, but rather a gaming culture stigma. Kasi iba yung gaming culture nung generation ko sa gaming culture ng millennial. And in fact, baka iba pa nga yung gaming culture ng Gen Z. Uh, but
Right.
uh, tawag na dun, but I think it depends which population you're actually talking to. So some people have a definite bias against it. Some people don't have, no. So yun lang yung sa ano, yun lang yung thing ko diyan.
Okay. Yeah, actually, very good answer. I didn't think of that, but come to think of it, yes. Now that you mention,
It is generational, man.
it does seem to be generational. Um, like the older the generation, the higher the chances that they have a more strong, uh, hostile reaction to it or negative reaction to it.
Right,
Whereas you go down the generations, it decreases. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So sorry, I
Right.
did I cut you off or you
Well,
have some
let's not say naman hostile. Basta ano lang, kasi unfamiliar,
negative?
usual, so ano, pero wag naman hostile. Kasi
Okay.
hostile, ano eh, parang
Okay.
may sa demonyong gamer, di ba? Parang gano'n eh.
Right.
I'd like to hear
Right.
from Sean what he thinks about our poll question.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Actually.
I think it depends on number one, I would look at the gaming setup eh. So, kung sobrang lupit nung setup, the chances are good that the person is very invested in it. I don't look at the generation because
Mm,
it's not about the generation. That's what I think. I've met people who are older than me, younger than me, and some
Mhm.
are moderate capers, some really addicted. To add to my answer, I think also that there are some games that are really addicting to some people or more addicting to some people. Like, alam ko yung sa akin, pag MOBA, I get hooked. But other games, like single player games, I don't. And I just really cruise through the story. I don't even try to unlock all of the achievements. No? So
Mhm.
that's, yeah, I'd look at the setup. I'd look at how the person plays. Kung talagang,
Pag gumastos ng 75,000 sa isang buwan 'no, online purchases 'no, parang medyo
God.
medyo
oo,
may problema na 'yun pag
yeah, oo, may problema na yun. Iba na yun.
Yung mga addicted sa 77, 88, 99.
Call it whales, right?
Right.
You're whaling the game. Ayun. Wait. I think I have a tag here from Gio. You have something for us, Gio?
Yes, yes. Sorry, my internet's a bit bad, but hopefully you can hear me properly.
Yeah,
We
you're
have a
good.
question from the audience. From Wilson Molina. He asks, "How do you differentiate between addicted and passionate?"
Ayun.
That's my buddy Wilson.
Ah,
Okay. Right. Pero he's my buddy, so si Sean na lang baka you can
yeah,
speak.
sige. We
Right.
semi covered this,
Hmm.
but I just like to put a
Uh,
lens on it. Sean, you have
uh,
what do you think?
uh,
Ah, passionate. I think a person who's addicted is can be passionate about the game. No, a person who's passionate. Yeah, it can be vice versa. It could be about the game, but when you say kasi addicted, life revolves around that day. Things are sacrificed on the altar of that which they're
Mm,
addicted to. But when you say
Actually,
passionate, baliktad, you sacrifice yourself for a certain goal or a certain destination. So when you say a person is passionate about a lady, ba, he sacrifices a lot of things for her, but not the important stuff. Like,
hmm,
you don't sacrifice your faith, you don't sacrifice your general well-being, supposedly, if you have a healthy pursuit of a lady, or when you're a businessman and you have a calling, your calling, you believe, is to also be able to give to God's kingdom.
right.
You don't sacrifice your daily walk with God, your quiet time, your spirit. You don't sacrifice those things in the altar of that. But when you're addicted, usually you sacrifice pretty much everything. Kaya nga yung kwento kanina, with that person who's gaming 24 hours, eating chicharon, and was sent to the hospital. That guy pretty much sacrificed everything for that day. So I think there's a fine line in between where when you say addiction, you just sacrifice everything. But when you say passion, you choose. Yeah, you sacrifice things, like, kasi by definition the word passion means sacrifice, di ba? Or suffering. Passion is from the word pati in Latin, which means suffering. Kaya you have the movie Passion of the Christ, which means suffering of the Christ. So you're willing to suffer for something. But yeah, you choose what you suffer for. Christ didn't suffer for something small, something trivial. He sacrificed himself for to save the world. That's it. It's a very
mhm.
big thing.
Right, right.
So I think it's a fine line. It's a fine line. Someone who's passionate won't sacrifice the important thing. Someone who's addicted will. That's the gist of it.
yeah,
I like it.
I
Yeah,
agree with Sean. Yeah.
great answer.
Right.
Gino, how do you want to answer your friend?
No, no. Well, kasi if I want to be technical about it, no, technically speaking, the nature of all addictions, whether it's gaming, whether it's binging, whether it's alcohol or drugs or sex or shopping or even workaholism, technically speaking, um, I can't help but see them in the light of a compensatory strategy in life, no? Kasi like, kumbaga parang ganito yun eh. People don't get addicted for their own sake. Like for example, um, sa games, pinag-games mo ko, right? I can say no, not because not because it's a bad thing inherently, because I don't feel the need for it in my life, right? Right. Whereas if I was passionate about something, I want something and I'm driven towards that. When you're addicted about something, no, kasi like I remember nung na-addict nga ako sa Counter-Strike eh. Right? Yun yung tipo nagsimula ako 6 AM tapos 3 AM na. Nakaganon na ako as in hindi na ako makaupo ng diretso. Tapos umuwi na yung daddy ko, pinakyat na niya ako sa kwarto tapos gumagapang ako to my room. Tapos sabi ko parang, I don't wanna do this, right? But I can't help it. I just feel compelled to do it. The nature of addictions have a compulsion element to it, eh, right? And from a psychological point of view, they usually are a compensation for something else that you're needing. What's that something else? Well, for some people, you can go deep into a lot of psychology. Like for example, I need to get your mind off of anxieties. No, when gaming addiction first came out, I was reading the early studies on it. Sabi nila yung mga college kids who got addicted because they have anxieties about life. And the gaming actually helped them deal with their uncertainties about life, no? So that's going deep into that, no? But whether it's that or maybe you have a problem in life, maybe you have a problem at work, maybe you have a problem with yourself, and then you got into the gaming somehow or the binging or the drinking or what have you, um, meron siyang some sort of relief for you, maya-maya hindi ka na makatigil kasi 'pag tumigil ka, you have to face a lot of other things in your life. Yung maybe it's a feeling of isolation, maybe a feeling of disconnection, maybe it's something else, no? So, the nature of addictions is that they're actually a band-aid solution to a lot of deeper problems. Whereas kumbaga, I feel that I need this, otherwise I'll be lessened if I don't have it. Whereas if you're actually passionate about something, right? I want this because I can build build on my life. No, my life will get built up by this. If I don't get it, I don't feel lesser. I don't feel diminished. But then I want to do it because I want to be more. So yung isa, I don't want to be less. Yung isa, I want to be more. But I want to be fully honest with you guys. Kasi I can't quite imagine myself in a position where I'm passionate about gaming, which is not to say na hindi posible yon, right? Kasi siguro there are areas in my life where I really am passionate about and I want to build in that area. I know that there are guys who compete, for example, sa tournament
Right.
gaming because they're addicted to it. And I know that there are guys who compete sa tournament ng gaming because they're passionate about it, right? Ano yung pinagkaiba? Someone wants to achieve something, the other one feels if I don't do this, I'm nothing. Right? I have nothing or I'm lessened, that sort of thing. So yun yung yun yung nature diyan. Where are you coming from when you actually get into into the hobbies of games, no? Tapos tama yung sabi ni what do you call that, ni Sean, is that if you're passionate about something, uh meron ka pang some level of self-possession in the sense na
Right.
okay, I'm not going to give up this much for my passion because I'm building. Right? Kasi 'pag yung taong desperado, right, will give up things that are healthy for them because they're desperate. But the person who's not desperate can actually add to their life by doing something, no? So it's a very nice way of saying it na 'pag passionate ka, hindi mo isa-sacrifice kasi you have some level of self-possession about who you are and where you're going to go. Right.
You don't sacrifice parang yung core components
Right,
of
right, right.
who you are.
Right, right.
Foundation mo, parang hindi mo sinisira yung foundation of who you are.
Right, right.
And like you mentioned that there are usually deeper issues involved when we talk about addiction, and I want to get back to that. but I just wanna just show just talk about our poll. So the results show with a few people who did vote that 27% said yes, definitely there is a stigma. People are automatically seen as addicted to gaming when they're gaming. No, I don't think so. Merong 9%. And 64% said it depends.
It
So
depends.
it means I think that a lot of people do think that there is some sort of stigma pa din when it comes to people seeing gaming na parang naglalaro siya, must be an addict or addicted na yan or magiging addict yan. So there really still has some sort of meron pa rin, I guess. But I also agree, personally I agree na parang times are changing and the viewpoints are changing, but I guess we're not there yet completely. And may point doon na sinabi mo kanina, generational. I think there is still some I still think, like for example, if my parents see me gaming, may automatic assumption pa rin sila na parang I'm being an addict, no? Parang even if like for example, and then this is I think this is a very Asian thing, yung 4 hours na ako nagtatrabaho, I take a break to play a game and then they enter my room and see me gaming and they think that I've been gaming the whole time. No, so
Right, right, right.
Just
I've
just
seen
use the bad timing.
gano'n ng ano, gano'n din ng ano, I've coached, teens na gano'n yung problem nila. Kasi when I coach teens, I coach the kid and I coach the parents as well. Tapos I hear out their stories. Sasabihin, same exact thing. The teen will tell me na technically tapos na ako sa aking studies. That's why I'm gaming. But then the parent comes in and sees them gaming and assumes that they're gaming. Parang naka-autopilot and all of that. And then sometimes I have to intervene by teaching the kids to communicate to their parents para to set expectations kasi nagkakaroon ng ano ng default knee-jerk response na bakit ka nagge-games because hindi nagge-games yung parents eh. I kind of solved that problem when I was a kid kasi I got my mom addicted on video games when I was in high school. So so tawag doon, baka it's just really a perceptual thing. Maybe it's kasi like to be honest, I know people from my generation, ayaw nila yung 'pag nakita nila yung naglalaro ng mga gacha games, which is very unusual for my batch. And then they have a bias against it. So parehong like nasa gaming generation na ako, pero iba yung games na nilalaro nila. So parang feeling nila, "Ay ano 'yan, that's like nakakababa or something." So may ganong element eh, that comes in all of that.
That's interesting, especially with the gotcha thing.
Right, right.
Why? All right.
so
So we've
na-mention
got a lot of yes, John, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, going back to the point where we mentioned that there are usually deeper issues, and I found that there are many, and then we discussed this before as well, that there are many players or gamers who get into games because nga of stress, because of anxiety, not necessarily because um they like playing games or that they're addicted, but because nga they actually are experiencing different kinds of mental health issues or concerns, no. And I know that there's some who actually play because they have an ongoing battle with depression, and it's one of the things that helps them cope. And I guess the question from me is, how do we actually identify na yun pala yung problema? And how do we know if gaming really is something that's going to help them or not?
Hmm. Um, right. Baka mas may experience si Sean since you're still active in the community. I have my own thoughts about it, but I'd like to kasi guys, I stopped gaming mga circa 2004. Bago na uso yung MMORPG, bago na uso yung mga online gaming communities. And siguro before I speak to it, no, I'd like to hear ano ba yung experience from si Sean kasi gaming right now is a very social activity eh. Whereas in my time parang hindi gano'n siyang ka-social na activity. Siguro dalawa kami, naglalaro kami ng PlayStation or what have you. Pero right now, you can go online and you can like have a whole team and all of that, no? So maybe you can speak to it more kasi I have my own observations, but I kinda just wanna hear what it's like right now, and then ano, and then I'll jump in and all of that.
Right.
Actually,
So
this is a
Sean, you have the
very
floor.
yeah. Thanks, John. Thanks, Gino. This is a very delicate issue
Mhm.
because the anxiety, depression, these are things that a lot of people nowadays are experiencing. The rate of people I know that have that kind of inclination or experiencing that and turn to gaming is quite high, and that's because gaming is allows you to zoom out of your life, for a good, like you guys mentioned long hours earlier, 16, 18 hours, 24 hours even. It could take you to a another blissful world, and where you don't have to deal with your deeper concerns in your life, in your family, in your home, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. It's just like ano rin, it's just like any other addictions where that give you those dopamine hits like alcohol or drugs. Um, and gaming is a much lesser, more respectable way of getting addicted into something compared to substance abuse. Um, that is how society sees that, and it's also easier. The point barrier of entry is easier. It's not like you need to be a certain legal age or to get it from a certain shady place or person. You just have to download an app, sign up, and there you go. And I think that's one big reason why we see and hear a lot of gamers struggling with these kinds of problems. Either they're pre-existent. Rarely do I know that the anxiety and depression is born out of, but I would not rule that out. No, na it's born out of excess gaming, sacrificing everything on the altar of gaming. Um, Again, I'm not the expert. This is as far as I know. And what I do know is it will not solve the problem of anxiety and
Right.
depression.
I have a question. Yung gaming community ba right now, do you guys end up kasi like for example, meron kayong gaming party and all of those things, meron kayong group, right? Do you find friends or colleagues who end up saying at some point na, "You know what? I am actually going through something," right? Kamusta yung bonds ba ng gaming ano, gaming ng gaming community? Right, kasi it's always been a question mark sa mind ko. I've coached kids na sabi nila yung kanilang lifeline yung kanilang Discord community. And then they meet nag-meet sila to play their games, but then somewhere along the way, they will periodically open up about what they're going through, right? How frequently have you guys seen that? Kasi it's been a question mark in my mind, and I'm trying to put together the puzzle of of what this phenomenon is like.
Personally, I haven't experienced that,
Okay,
but yeah, maybe because I have been also quite controlled with my gaming hours, and I haven't been gaming a lot compared to how I did it before because of my businesses and
right,
my family. But I know someone very close to me who has shared na ganon, exactly what you said, that they open up to other friends online who they don't know and they just game with, and um, that helps them out, and to a certain degree doesn't cure it, but as you mentioned, it's a kind of a lifeline.
right. Okay, how about the rest of you guys? Have you experienced people that opening up na and you don't have an IRL relationship pero online nag-o-open up siya. Na-meet niyo sa gaming world, sa gaming space, and then suddenly nag-open up. Ano ang experience niyo about that one?
So I'd like to toss these questions to, well, that's us.
Right.
so
Right, right.
I can't say if someone sharing like deep stuff about it, but I have made friends uh yeah over games actually across the globe where parang I feel in a way parang it feels I am close to them even though I haven't really actually physically met them yet.
Mhm.
Like yeah, like I have a friend in Iceland. I've known them since I think they had like their second kid, something like that. Parang that was also on Ragnarok, uh, private server. But yeah, but yeah, there is that. I guess there is that kind of experiencing. Say honestly, I never really played much in the game. We just actually just sat there just chatting away.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so merong gano'n,
There
merong
is yeah, there is
personalities or merong gano'n.
There's a social component talaga, and
Right.
ako personally, I think one of the reasons that we're talking about it for me is because there have been instances where the people we game with um would would open up and say na I'm experiencing this, I'm going through this, and they may not necessarily be sharing that to other people, no.
Right.
And I think it's because over time you built a certain bond with these people, especially if you're playing online games that have a lot of social components like
Right.
MMORPGs and
Right.
other most online games anyway are like that na rin, no? So
Mhm.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I'm part of the different Discord servers, and sometimes when I'm just looking through Discord servers, I'm just reading. Biglang may nag-share out of nowhere that they're experiencing that, and
Right.
so and then they're sharing it to a community that some of them they know, but a lot of people they probably don't even know or have ever even talked to.
Right. Right.
I would say secondhand for me. It's a bit of a mix because there are relationships and friendships which I've formed due to the online interaction.
Mm.
And then later on, before all this pandemic stuff, it was some time ago. This is the height of MMORPGs, which is still strong now. Um, and then we got to know these people, or I got to know these people outside the game setting, and we formed deep relationships with them in that context. And yeah, so it does happen. And some of these friendships that I had, um, well, of course, they've waxed and waned over the years. We've gotten more distant and so on. But sometimes out of nowhere, the guys or some friends of mine from way back when, they just pop up and like, hey, John, and we end up getting into a really deep conversation. So the social connections, I think, and the impressions that you have on people's lives cannot be underestimated. Like we never, diba, especially in a Christian context, you never know um ano yung impact ng life mo sa iba, diba?
Right.
yeah.
And yun, salt and light, we are called to be this, and it's surprising because even years down the road, it's like, oh hey, you can chat up a person and like, oh yeah, I'm this guy from way back when. Oh, and then I don't know, it's a kind of very interesting bond. And as for today, um, that was prior to like Discord communities and whatnot. It's actually something I think would be more prevalent now, especially during this quarantine thing. Like during the quarantine season of basically last year and this year, we've seen so much uh, go online as communities. And it may not be personal, but I have heard from basically these are friends of friends stories na. Parang
Mhm.
maraming nagiging support group. Like
Right.
this
Right.
group is my family. Basically, you hear that kind of thought. Oh, this is my online family. These are like basically spiritual families,
Right.
diba? Forming. And it's a little different for me right now because my spiritual family are these guys who I've met in person over the years. We
Right.
just transitioned online. So there's a mix of that. But I would suffice to say that there are occasions because you never know. Like the guy you're playing with, if you're playing with the guy for a long time, if you make time for meaningful engagements, one of those days, suddenly the guy might just say something about his life, like
Right, right.
he's having a bad day, and it's like, oh, are you gonna just leave that, or are you gonna go, oh, kwento naman, tara, let's talk. For lack of a better term, let's have an electronic. You don't really drink anything. It's like, yeah, tara, let's just hang out here or something. Chat tayo. You're here, I'm here, let's talk. So, which we've actually sort of had that kind of those occasions for within this group, for example. You know, we just hang out, we talk, bond, and we've had, I guess, new friends come in and get connected that way as well.
And I think
Oh,
just to add lang, that's I think that's one of the thrusts of this group of Level Up. So to anyone listening, um, we're basically here to form bonds, listen to you guys, and if you are,
mhm.
and and this is a caveat, I guess, and a PSA. No, I mean, if you are experiencing issues in mental health, if you're experiencing anything, we're here. We're ready to talk. We're actually open to talk to you guys. You can PM us on Facebook, or you can join our Discord server. It's invite.gg/LUGN. Or we can direct you guys to Sean or to Gino if you want to talk more about these things. And
Special.
yeah, definitely. And for us, I think just to add that, um I think it's about creating that safe space. Um Communities are supposed to do that. I think the communities are supposed to create that safe space so that these people can actually unload and unburden the things that they're going through. And we
Mhm.
may not necessarily be able to help them directly with what they're going through, but at least that that component where they're able to talk out what they're going through, process that. And I think for us, from coming from a biblical or Christian perspective, is something that uh makes it more practical, I guess. No. And honestly, for me kasi I went through situational depression before, and one of the things I really hated was people giving me verses or giving me specific examples when I also all I really needed was someone to talk to, no? And in many cases, we already know the answer to our problem. We just need to really process it.
Right, right. Right. Actually, thanks for sharing, guys, no? Kasi it's something that I've coached siguro kids who were depressed na nasa gaming yung kanilang shelter. The thing
Right.
about depression kasi that I think it's really important for us to understand is that hindi lang siya negative feeling eh. It's a persistent feeling of despair that comes from a recurring thought patterns eh, to the point na yung brain mo gusto na mag-shutdown. And may tatlong theme yun eh, para maging depressed ka. You feel helpless, you feel hopeless, and you feel worthless. Right? You feel helpless, you feel hopeless, and you feel worthless. And those thoughts paikot-ikot lang in your mind. To the point na medyo magsha-shutdown ka. Now, the thing about it, even before there was gaming, there was depression. There are people that you would meet in the real world that are seemingly happy kasi the thing about it, and I've been depressed myself, no? Um,
Mm.
you don't even want to open up about it kasi nakakahiya eh. You're already feeling worthless and you talk about it. How it's kind of like ang hirap mong gawin. And I noticed that for a lot of people, um, because when you're gaming, may avatar ka, di ba?
Yeah.
Parang since it's you but it's not you, somehow the online format allows you to open up, no? So I wanted to confirm that with you guys kasi I've noticed sa mga kids na nakakausap ko who were gamers and who were depressed na mas madali daw for them to open up 'pag hindi naman sila yung nakataya, right?
Right.
Nakataya. Now, how does that work out if you actually want to help them? It somehow helps, but it also somehow complicates things, eh. Kasi like I was mentioning earlier, yung mga addictions that we have, they're means of coping with a lot of deep issues. Like in this case, depression, feeling helpless, feeling worthless, feeling hopeless, and all of those things, no? Um, alam niyo yung Inception, yung movie na Inception, the one with
Yep.
Chris Nolan, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
yung nangyari dun sa kay Cobb and his wife got addicted to the
Dream world.
dream world. And kasi para mas maganda yung dream world. And I've spoken to kids, sasabihin nila sa akin, you know what, I prefer to be online, to be gaming, because online I'm somebody. In the real world, I feel like I'm a nobody. Talagang literal quote yan, sinabi yan talaga sa akin. And yung I guess yung complication doon is that how do you now talk to someone who's only for whom the only time that they feel like they're somebody is when they're not themselves in the real world, right? Some people say pagbigyan na lang kasi at least hindi siya nagfo-fall apart eh. Pero extended over a long period of time, then you have a situation where you have someone who's I guess we would call it dissociating in psychology. Dissociating from their own actual identity in favor of the online identity, because that's where they actually feel safe. They have a
Right.
Mm.
safe place, no? And part of what, 'pag nagco-coach ako ng people who are going through that, part of the complexity comes from translating that safe space, imbis na online, into an actual relationship with the person. Kasi I'm not just talking about a feeling of, "Oh, I suck, that therefore I feel worthless." That's not what I'm talking about. Kasi when you're depressed, helpless, hopeless, worthless, yung helpless talagang feeling mo helpless ka talaga against the world. I can't do anything right. No matter how hard I do anything, I can't do anything. Yung hopelessness, parang wala na tong takas. Yung worthlessness doon, the world is better off with me not being there because I have no value. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And the challenge to get the person to recover is to actually create that safe space na hindi sila with them not as their avatar, but with them as themselves.
Right.
And then now to have those meaningful conversations na to actually kind of bring them to a point where they realize na, you know what, you're not really helpless. They're actually you've actually, siguro you've hit a wall thinking the way that you think, right? But there are other ways of looking at your life, other ways of looking at yourself, and all of those things. No, that you're not really hopeless and you're definitely not worthless. No, um, and to be very frank, it's kind of a very very delicate, I guess, process. Kasi now you have someone, it's like they're clinging to their avatar, their online presence, tawag nga dun, for dear life, and then you're telling them, "No, you let go, punta ka rito, pag-usapan natin." Right? So how do you tell if someone is going through something? I toss it back to you guys kasi honestly, even in real life, um, it's very difficult to get a depressed person to actually talk about their depression, right?
Mm.
There's a lot of self-condemnation already for going through what they're going through. No, so ano siya, tawag nga doon, if awa ng Diyos, you're online with the person, they end up talking about they have issues and all this. This is a very good sign because they're actually, yung sinabi ko kanina, yung nag-reach ng point na nag-reject na ng relationship, they haven't gotten to that point yet. They're trying to still, yung kanilang, I guess, if you want to talk about it, their inner being or their soul or what have you, yung consciousness nila is recognizing that, hey, I can't get lost in my avatar. I can't get lost in the online game. I need to connect with someone. To some extent, if you meet someone online and they open up about it, then it becomes an opportunity to now connect with the person that the real person that they are, no.
Yeah.
But yung detecting, honestly, ako, I go by the technical term eh. Yung depression, meron talaga siyang symptoms. And they have to be observed IRL, no, in real life. Kasi online, avatar, you won't be able to tell it. You won't be able to tell honestly, right? Unless mag-disclose siya. So the best thing, if you have a strong online presence, is to create that safe space nga. How do you create that safe space? Well, you make it real, right? Kasi the thing about it, like ako honestly, honestly nung gamer ako, trash talker ako eh. Like yung avatar ko ano yan eh. Kasi mayabang eh, right? Yung like I'm introverted in real life. Yung avatar ko hindi introverted yan. Swag yan talaga to and all of those things, no? But if you make it real, if you make conversations, if you allow for rooms where you can have meaningful relational conversations without sounding preachy, I guess. Not just to show people that, you know what, dito sa community to, I can open up and all of those things. Maybe, maybe it's impossible. It's possible that you'll get the person to open up about the deeper issues. But then it's a walang hard and fast rule. Um, Walang hard and fast rule. It's a real challenge. Siguro
Yeah.
in my case kasi dinadala na yung kid sa akin, can you talk to my son kasi depressed siya. Pero kung hindi naman na-detect ng parents because they might be hiding it. They might be like having good grades tapos chill lang sila sa bahay tapos depressed pala sila and then they're online. It would be difficult to actually detect it unless you could observe, you or someone else could observe in real life, right? Or unless they actually open up to you because you made it easy for them to open up to someone.
Right,
So
right.
does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it fits into our um, what we actually want to tackle, which is really looking at how do we help our friends who are in these situations? Like, how would family, loved ones, friends, or our community, what are practical things that we've seen that really help them? Like, how do we talk and approach? So these are things I actually wanted to toss to both to you, Gino, and to Sean. Like, ano yung na-observe nyo na nangyayari to people who help get out of the spiral, kumbaga, and into a more healthy and functional place. And from there, hopefully, you just get out, right? So, what have you seen has actually worked for the people around you? So, I suppose I'd like to toss that to Sean first, considering that, like, what's happened around you, anong nakita natin? And then maybe we can get some feedback from you, Gino, after Sean's share.
Sure. For me, it's actually more of I for myself first, I went cold turkey. That's how I really was able to do it when I was in college. I just said na enough is enough and I do have to graduate and uh it's time for me to get out of it. Ayan. So I deleted all my games. I deleted all the maps. Dota, dina-download mo isa-isa yung map. So, hassle i-download lahat nun ulit. And that actually prevented me from going back in. Um, Also, when I notice myself nowadays having the same problem na I'm being hooked again, what helps me out is really, yeah, doing the same thing. So I delete the game. That's going to for sure make me stop playing. And for other people, I'm not so sure. Other people around me, I'm not that deep na talaga in the gaming community. So when I play now, it's just once in a while. It's not really deep anymore. But that's worked for me. I think that's one of the most effective ways to just really get rid of it. So that, if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he says make the habit so hard. Like if you're addicted to watching TV every night, to remove it where it is and hide it in your cabinet, and that's gonna keep you from watching it easy. Also, if you are addicted to computer games, I'd say do the same thing. Delete it. Delete even the download file so that next time you need to play it, you're gonna have to re-download it again. Ngayon, kung sobrang bilis ng internet mo, problema mo problema yon. So, but at least you have like that one step where it's not just double clicking an icon. It helped me out a lot, and I guess that's one of the most effective ways to do it.
Nice.
Okay.
Parang set obstacles for you to get back into the game.
Set boundaries
Yeah.
between you and
Boundaries.
the unhealthy habits.
Right. To be honest, I've had parents come to me and then they tell me, "Can
Mm.
you my kid out of the gaming addiction?" I don't that's not what I aim for, honestly. I don't get them to try to stop the gaming. Kasi as a cognitive behavioral coach, cognitive behavioral therapy, that's what I do, no? Um,
Mm.
thinking, cognitive, behavioral, behavior. Right? If you want to change the behavior, you have to change the thinking. A lot of people they focus on the behavior that people are doing. Okay, change the behavior. Why are they behaving that way to begin with? No, when I look back to I'll be very specific. Hindi basta gamer. Yung kids na naging gamer, nag-addicted sa games because they were
Mm.
getting depressed. No, sa akin, rather than focus on the game, I focus on why are you having conversations with them to ask them, okay, what does the game do for you, right? And I relate with them. I tell them I quite relate with you because I was once also an avid gamer and all of that, no.
Mhm.
And I also I would share with them, honestly guys, ito yung mahirap, no, as a coach. um I've had to really disclose yung mga personal challenges ko that led me to becoming addicted to games in order to draw out the people that I'm talking to. I would talk about yung past ko with my own issues with my self-worth and my self-esteem, right? Kasi I have to put it out there. If you want them to come out, you gotta go out also. Nangyayari sa akin in those conversations. I'd first bond with them about the games. I asked them ano ba yung games. That's why I know about the gacha games, right? I know about all of those things. I make it a point to know what's new without any judgment, so that so that the person will feel comfortable with me. And besides, I'm always interested anyway. I want to see what's new and all of those things. And then when I ask, I usually will end up asking them, what is it about the game? What does it do for you, right? What does it do for you, or what does it address in your life? What does it address, right? And then that becomes a starting point for a long conversations, multiple sessions, multiple conversations about how they look at their life, how they look at themselves, how they look at the world, right? Basically in the back of my mind, I want to find out the areas why are they feeling helpless? Why are they feeling hopeless? Why are they feeling worthless? Right? And every time we hit a sore topic, ang taya ko really is my own experience about those things. Because I'd been there before. I had dysthymia when I was in high school. No one knew about it. I was going through that, and then I would talk about it. I talk about feeling suicidal, suicide attempt, and all of those things. And then it actually draws out the person to speak about their own experience. And many times I've always found that there's so much pent up anger, pent up insecurity, pent up anxiety that they weren't able to get out of their system, that they're only holding it back because via their avatar. Their avatars, yung good feelings that they get from their avatar and the achievements of their avatar are the only things that actually hold back those feelings. Right. So ako, ang taya ko as a coach, and of course not every coach does this, no, not every life coach does this. Pero ako, ang taya ko, yeah, I've been there before myself, and I talk about my own feelings. And I actually relate with them about how, you know what, if I was actually playing that game, I'd probably feel the same way. Right? Just to and there's a lot of rapport building that has to happen in that sense. Right? And then pag nagkaroon na ng connection with the person, then I now start talking about how I actually got out of it. Right? Which of course myself, I'm a cognitive behavioral coach. Medyo meron akong way out, self-application, right? And then also as a Christian, right, it becomes now an opportunity to talk about I guess the Christian principles and the scriptures without being invasive. No, na tipong na connect na tayo eh, right? So sa akin, this actually helped me. I'm not forcing you. I'm not telling you that this is how you should look at things, no. But honestly, when I understood this, I apply this to my situation, right? Then actually, then it helped me out. So, but that usually happens way down the line. There has to be a lot of connecting that's been involved. And to be honest, it's not always been comfortable. Kasi now ako, I will have to revisit my own feelings of insecurity and all of those things in connecting with the person. Kumaga babalik talaga ako doon, and then I draw them out. And it's been very powerful because now the person realizes that I'm not going through this by myself, which is really the issue with people who are going through depression. When you're stuck in that frame of mind where you're feeling helpless and hopeless and worthless, you think that you're all alone by it. Because everyone seems to be okay. Everyone seems to be happy. Everyone seems to be living their life and having their relationships and all of those things. And I'm just going through this lousy thing and no one understands or no one cares, no? Right? But when the moment that you actually disclose from your own experience, from your own inner world, no, experience with to the person, and how my own games actually were alleviating those feelings, then they realize, okay, I'm not alone. I can actually open up about it, no? Babalik at babalik sa relationship, eh. Babalik at babalik dun sa connection, babalik at babalik dun sa fellowship. And I've had to listen, siyempre magdi-disclose ako, so lalabas na lahat ng issue, and all of those things. So I'm not aiming for to resolve the addiction. I'm aiming to resolve I guess the internal weakness or the hurts that is making them prone to the addiction. And then maya-maya, after a while, usap na kami na maybe you can try out some IRL things. Maybe you can exercise. Maybe you can like take a walk in the sun, which we need to do those things to restore yung chemical balance ng brain, no? So it's
Mhm.
now it's not anymore forcing anyone, no? He's like hearing it from a friend, no? And then you're just sharing na ginawa ko rin yan. Di na-draw out mo na siya. But that's something that I do. It's proven particularly helpful, but it's also been challenged kasi sarili mo yung taya mo, and all of that, eh. But again, I guess we have to work double time when we're coaching people kasi ang kalaban mo yung world ng avatar niya, eh. You have to make if they're feeling like people will only care for them in the virtual environment, then you have to actually counteract that thought or that experience with the real life counterpart. So matinding connection ang kailangan gawin. And this takes time, minsan months, minsan magmi-meet kami, tapos minsan siyempre magwi-withdraw yung person kasi nag-open up, nag-progress kayo, and then it's too much openness, too much closeness, atras ulit, and you have to wait again, right? And then maya-maya, right, babalik ulit sa'yo, right? And then you start from scratch again. Months ang inaabot sometimes. But then that's what it takes, eh, right? You can't really rush recovery, right? You can't really rush yung impact nung ganong connection, especially if the deeper the wounds, the more work you have to do. Of course, I have the luxury of doing that kasi trabaho ko talaga to as a life coach. But it's you're not going to get anywhere without investing personally in the relationship with the person who's going through these things and are just turning to games. It doesn't even have to be games, eh. People can be like exercise addicts. Kasi you get a dopamine high when you exercise and all of those
Yeah.
things.
Mga gym rats.
Di ba? It doesn't have to be games, eh. But the thing is kasi I don't want to distinguish gaming from any other addiction because it all boils down to those deeper issues. Right? Do I have value as a person? Meron ba akong kwenta? Meron ba akong silbi? Meron ba akong patutunguhan? Right? And so you have to get into that really personal space and have those conversations. And if the starting point is a common game, so be it. Right? But it has to go there. It has to go there. That's the only way you can actually get the person out of yung issue na yun. Are there gamers na actually na nagkaroon ng progress in those areas? Right? As a Christian, are there gamers that actually came from that space who became Christian? Yeah. Did they stop being gamers? No. Right? But then they're not addicted anymore. Right? Hindi na need yung game. Right? Because the reality is we are in a digital society. Hindi mawawala yung digital presence, whether it's gaming or social media. Right? but the soul of the person, or the psyche of the person, is still the same, right? It has the same needs. It has the same needs for acknowledgement and affirmation and expression, right? Uh and as long as the person is able to find those find those the things that they're looking for in those areas, then I think they should be still be okay.
All right, it
Wow.
sounds quite actually. I would to use the term quite conclusive in
Right.
Yep.
very powerful statements for us to work with.
Yeah.
I guess to summarize, it's basically the process to healing, the process to getting out of this. Generally, yeah, as the word implies, it's a process.
Right. Right.
Takes time, it
Right.
takes effort, it takes sensitivity
Yes.
to go where the person is and understand them,
Right.
and then that's how you slowly bridge the gap between
Yes.
where they are,
Yes.
where a healthier state will be.
Right.
So, which is interesting because it also kind of echoes the dynamic we often are with regards to our faith as well, di ba? Yung healing that Christ,
Right.
um, for some people it's quick, for some people it's a long and lengthy process to understand. And it's kind of interesting how it seems to be that yung healing process for addictions and so whatnot. Medyo magkapareho din, no? So
Yeah.
very relational
Yeah.
and very it takes a lot of love. It actually
Right.
does.
Yeah.
Love.
And usually, diba, like for example, when we think of like alcohol addiction or drug addiction, um they always end up with like support groups, diba? You have,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
then you always end up with someone who is like your sponsor, which is like a mentor, 'di ba?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really follows a very Christ-like or very Christian setup where you have support groups, you have small groups, you have a community that support each other through those kinds of issues, no? And normally naman when they talk about their addictions, it's not just I'm addicted, but what is
Yeah.
causing the addiction? No, it talks about their stress, their anxieties, their things that they're going through. And I think I really like that you mentioned that ano na most often than not those who fall into addiction or fall into deep mental state where they feel that they're all alone. They're all I can't help it. I almost sang it all by myself. No, no parang ganun yung pakaramdam nila. So, yeah, I stopped. But, di ba, parang, and it, you mentioned that something that was very significant para sa akin, it's in the relationship, no?
Mm.
I think
Right.
um this is something that is so understated na ang napaka-importante ng relationship. And
Right.
I think that's what online communities are all about now. I think that's where I heard about this person who was depressed and she was listening to a Twitch streamer. And then this streamer apparently started a Sunday service na siya nagpe-preach, and through there na save yung girls because she opened up about her suicidal tendencies and her depression, and she found Christ through that group because someone dared to listen to her, not to listen, and then she felt like she was no longer alone, like she was part of a community, she was part of a group that uh tried to understand what she was going through, even if no one really knew what she was going through. So parang I think napakaganda lang na idea na we have those communities. I think that's where Christ really uh, shows himself even in the Bible that communities are important. No, he created his own community. He created his disciples, his 12 disciples. He had 12 disciples that was a community on its own supporting each other.
Hmm.
No, and
Right.
even when he sent people out, they were in twos. It was never just one person. They were always supported by each other. The Trinity itself is it's three people, 'di ba? It's three persons. And so parang that idea of it's not really going through things alone. And I think letting people really understand that they're not alone with whatever they're going through, whatever deep seated issues they might be experiencing at that moment. And I think that's why I think it's napaka interesting ng positioning ng gaming communities now, because whereas it could be a stigma before, it could also be an avenue where people can actually express themselves and, open up to something that they would never normally not be able to open up to.
Right, right. Actually, ano, you hit it on the head. It boils down to the relationship, right?
Mm.
Kasi I'll be very honest, no. Parang for me, if I look at our society, not just online but society natin right now, people actually don't seem to know how to have relationships, meaningful relationships with other people. Kasi sobrang fast-paced ng community natin, sobrang in a very real sense, and we're not really raised to know what it's like to connect with other people in a healthy way, right? We're taught a lot of things. You grow up in school, you learn a lot of
Mhm.
things and all of that, and you learn your trade when you go to college and all of that. Pero yung how to actually connect with someone, be vulnerable to someone, be accepted by that person, and be encouraged by that person, and all of those things. No, tawag nga dun, it seems to be not something that we we
Teach.
know or teach as a culture anymore, right? Which is why you have a lot of dysfunctions. Hindi siya, if you ask me, it's not really that the games are causing all of these things. Maybe it's these things that are causing people running into the games for solace and what of those things. Very disconnected ang modern world and all of that. Very
Mhm.
disconnected from each other. And if there is any work that we need to do to reach out to people, balik sa relationship, right?
Yeah.
Ako as a life coach, a lot of times, no, kami ni Coach Noreen, no, when people come to us and we're going, why don't you know how to open up? Why don't you know how to encourage? Why don't you know how to listen? Why don't you know how to ano? Hindi namin sinasabi, no? Iniisip lang namin kasi someone is talking to me about the problems that they have in their relationship with their spouse or their kids and all of those things, and I'm
Mhm.
going ganito na ba yung society natin? Hindi tayo marunong makinig. Hindi tayo marunong makiramdam. Hindi tayo marunong mag-unawa. Gusto natin naga-mic drop lang tayo lagi. Gusto natin lagi we're so caught up with just trying to express where we're coming from, as opposed to connecting with people. No, parang gano'n, eh. And a lot of the people that I coach, there's one very basic, simple Christian concept that is lacking right now. It's the concept of grace. A lot of people think grace is a theological concept lang. It's actually a relational concept. You have someone na nakakataas, you have someone na nakakababa. Kailangan tumaas nito nakakababa, but they can't do it on their own. So yung nakakataas will go down and do whatever it takes to bring the other person up. That's a relational concept, right? And as a Christian, doon nanggagaling yung I guess yung motivation ko. I tell the coaches that we've trained, no, that the grace that you've received is the grace that you give. Because the reality is, kung hindi mo mismo naiintindihan yung grace, hindi ka makakapagbigay ng grace, right? And it is so important right now, right? Because the need for grace is so big right now, but we don't know how to do it. We can talk about it all. We have a lot of books talking about it, but to really let someone experience it, no, that's something else, and that's something that we need to do. The starting point, of course, is finding out where the person is. Pataas ka, nakababa siya, oh, come down here. Where are you? But then getting them up, getting them back up, right? That's the rest of it. We definitely, if you can connect with someone online, by all means do so. But then the rest of it, really, we still have to do the legwork, the building of the relationship, the encouraging, the listening, the setting of standards, the picking up people when they fall and all that. Tinatrabaho talaga yun.
Yeah.
Tinatrabaho talaga siya. But I've seen it happen time and again. Kayang-kaya talaga. Right? The question is, do you want to? Pabalik at babalik dun. Do we want to? Right? And I'm hoping that we do. I'm hoping that, lalo na right now, we're in a community. I've invited a lot of people to join the community kasi I guess this is kind of to join this talk kasi I know that there are a lot of people looking for answers to help them deal with yung kanilang loved ones who have already invested themselves in the games. And and siguro if I have a message for them, it's really that they need grace. Right? The problem isn't the addiction,
That's
right? The
true.
problem is they need grace. They need to understand grace. They need to have they need to have someone go down and find out and go down into the hole with them. Find out what are they going through? What are they how are they hurting? How are they feeling discouraged? How are they feeling helpless? How are they feeling hopeless? How are they feeling worthless? And
Right.
then now walk them out of it. Right? Because if our only concern is naglalaro lang sila, the reality here is that if the person's only solace is the game, kinuha mo yung game, hindi mo ni-replace yung missing things in their life, right? Then you have a mess, right? You
Right.
have someone who's still dealing with their problems. Kinuha ko games mo, sorry ka na lang, right? And that's the sad thing, right? So which is why when I coach parents, when I coach families that they bring their kids to me, I coach the kid, but I coach the parents, right? I teach them that you need to learn to reach out to your kids. I teach them that you need to learn to listen to them and relate with them and not impose and understand them. And then if you really want them to have that life, that Christian life which we preach, which is no problem. Of course, I'm a Christian. I agree. We want to have a life filled with grace. You need to learn to give grace, right? We need to learn to give grace. It's the only thing that will solve things. It's the only thing that will resolve things. Right. So
Exactly.
yung konting ano ko, just a little bit of advocacy on my part. No?
Oh, no, actually, speaking of the advocacy,
Right.
you did an event. Could you just share us some details on that event, and then we can close for
Oh,
comment.
right. Right. Oo nga pala, no? So we have an upcoming workshop, no? It's called Breaking Free from Anxiety. This is open to all people from all ages, no? It's a 6-week, 6-session weekly workshop starting July 17. This Saturday at 10 o'clock to 12 noon. So, 6 na session siya, 2 hours per session, where we actually teach people going through anxiety how to better manage how to understand their own emotions, how to better manage their emotions, and how to actually get out of a mindset that creates anxiety. So, registration is still open up to now. Instead of getting one-on-one coaching from us, no, you can do you can go to the workshop with the group, and it becomes a support group, a support community for you, so that you can find connection with the people who are going through the same things that you're going through. So that's breaking free from anxiety, July 17 to August 21, 6 Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. No? So ano, I'll siguro I'll just share the link na lang dun sa level up na sa level up na
Group page.
right para
Yeah,
para if
we'll
people
be
want to register.
posting the details. We'll get from you the details, and we'll be posting it and sharing it.
Okay, sige
Yep, and
sige.
we
All
can post it on the comments in the stream as well.
right.
Mhm.
Okay,
Um,
Take
okay.
I just one last thing lang, comment lang from Chris Maranya. I just want to read it, and I think this also kind of summarizes everything we've talked about. No, as gamers, now we need to be accountable to God, family, spiritual and biological, and friends with regard to our gaming. Focus more and build relationships, and be wise stewards of our time, resources, and even our bodies. So I just wanna shout out that comment. Sobrang yeah, I think that kind of summarizes everything that we talked about. And thank you guys, no, sobrang daming insights, daming thoughts, and I hope a lot of people uh got something from this from this talk.
Right.
I hope
That
so as well. So, with that, I'm afraid we have to close the evening. I know there's a lot that we could still talk about and
Right.
share.
Right.
Just,
Right.
I just want to thank Sean for coming up, and for Gino for
Thank
also.
you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you also for having us here.
yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you
glad
for
to have
having
you.
us.
we're glad to have you here, guys here, and for anyone who's still listening or who might be watching later on, Level Up has really been uh created as a community to give support to others. No, John, Gio, and myself are actually small group leaders, so we are ready to listen to anybody who needs to talk to someone, or maybe just wants somebody to play games with. No, we also have female small group leaders, Tina, who is off camera right now, and our you
We're
know
friends.
we are ready to just have fun, listen to you, and if you're not comfortable talking to someone, let's just play. This is a safe community, and this is we want to continue creating that safe space for everyone within the gaming community, not just the gaming community, the geek community in general. And
Yes.
we are into a wide variety of geek hobbies. So
Pokemon.
Very
yeah, so
wide, from comics to anime and manga,
yep,
Ay,
yep.
uh,
Yep.
video games, of course. It's widespread.
So yeah, if you're just looking for someone to talk to or someone to game with or to play with, to watch anime with, we do regular watch parties, gaming nights, and yeah, and we share thoughts and ideas. And if this is something that you are interested in, come join us. You don't even need to tell us your real name. And we're ready to so you can just go to our Discord server at invite.gg/LUGN. I think Gio can type that
Mm-hmm.
into our comment section.
Yep, I
And
can.
yeah, and if you have questions, you can also message us on Facebook. And we also have a Facebook group, Level Up Game Nights. Is also the same name, and
Hmm.
we post random stuff there as well. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for this evening. Thank you, Gino, and thank you, Sean, and of course, thank you to all our listeners. And that's it for us this evening. Signing off. Good night.
good night.
Good
Good
night.